Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast. As always, we are so grateful that you've chosen to take a few minutes and join us to learn a little bit more about leadership and teams. And I'm very excited to welcome to the podcast today our guest. This is Russell Harvey, and he is the Resilience Coach, and he hails all the way from Leeds, England. So thank you so much, Russell, for joining me on the podcast today. What would you like the people to know about what it is that you do?
Absolutely, yes. And I love the pronunciation. Yes, the Resilience Coach. Thank you for doing that. That's wonderful. So what I specialize in is how to lead yourself and others really well in a full-on, crazy, mad, bonkers world that we live in. That's the specialism that I do, and then behind all of that is, this word resilience, and there's an acronym of VUCA, V-U-C-A, the world we live in, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. And behind all of that is a real raft of capabilities, skills, mindsets, behaviors that enable you to get to this place where actually the vast majority of the time, even though it's full on, it's difficult and challenging, you're in a good place. That's the resilience piece. So in a nutshell, that's what I aim to do with my clients.
Well, I love what you're doing because it is a very important part of that, just the overall emotional well-being, and especially for those that own a business who are leading people. This is a really important piece. So I hope everybody will pay close attention to the discussion here today. And again, thank you, Russell. I appreciate your insights and your experience and wisdom, and I look forward to our discussion here. So let's go ahead and get started with question number 1. As a business leader, how do you know when to pivot in your business?
Yeah, so there's going to be a few more sort of business buzzwords that I'll start to answer that, and I'll get some clarity on it. So it's finding a sweet spot of understanding that there is a difference between adaptability and agility. It's got something to do with aligning your purpose and this thing called situational awareness and making a great decision. So there's loads of stuff that I appreciate in there. So to try and bring that to life, okay, it's understanding actually. So pivot, this word adaptable, is open to change, but not necessarily actually doing it. You're just open to it. And agile is actually, do you know what? I am good at making a quick decision, an informed decision, so that I will actually do the change. Agile. So it's know when to stay the course, and it's know when to not stay the course and then go in a different direction. So how you do that is you do need to think about your business purpose. You have to think about your leadership purpose, and understanding actually, if I keep doing what I am doing, will it help me achieve my purpose or will it not? So that's a bit of information to inform you. And then situational awareness, fancy words for how much are you looking up? Are you looking outwards? Are you being open and curious about what's coming that might be helpful, or what's coming that's going to actually get in the way or knock you off course? So knowing when to pivot is actually understanding the difference between adaptability and agility, and then actually thinking about when am I going to make a decision about stay the course, or actually, do you know what, now's the time to shift. And if you can think about that in relation to your purpose, that's quite helpful.
I really like that. It's good alignment with that purpose, and that carries all the way through. I love that. Let's kind of continue that discussion in a little bit different vein here. If you would, share with the audience one of your company's core values and how that value helps you make decisions in your business.
So I do like to be authentic. I appreciate it. I spend my life feeling like today's business buzzword, essentially, but authentic. But the one I'm talking about is fairness. So one of the challenges in life is actually to understand that life is not fair. Really horrible things happen to really wonderful, amazing people. Okay. And I want that in, a commercial world, in terms of the value of my business, it is about actually, I'm fair. Are we being commercially fair with each other? Are we being fair on a human level with each other in the relationships they're having? So actually, that goes into the fact some of the clients I do and don't work with, because I think actually if there might be a fairness imbalance with some of the clients that I work with. If it's a case of we are paying you to do something, Russell, and we can treat you however we like, that doesn't feel right to me. So that doesn't happen. Essentially. So fairness is something, well, in a world that is unfair, I believe actually in the work that I do, the clients that I work with, I am aiming to be as fair as possible, as much as I.
That's great. It's funny because you're absolutely right. There's this interesting paradox here, fairness in an unfair world. And yet all of us, I believe very genuinely are trying to be fair with each other, with business people, with business situations, with the world around us. But it's not easy because fair
No,
can
it's
sometimes be a perception. So
so yeah, absolutely. So business, in my humble opinion, should is an amazing way. It should be a force for good.
mhm.
So it's like actually I need to make sure that I am role modeling that as much as possible.
Oh, I like that. Great comments. Very good. Okay. What is one tip that you have, Russell, for finding and then hiring talent?
Yeah. So a huge amount of what I do is taking a strengths-based approach. So in your conversations with people, and even if it's in an official interview situation, make sure you spend time actually discovering what's made the individual in front of you feel proud in their lifetime to date. It doesn't matter how old they are, but what's made them proud? What's given that warm and fuzzy feeling inside about something that they've done, they've achieved? And it doesn't have to be like this enormous. So I went over here and climbed this mountain and led all these people. It's just what's anything that you've done that's made you feel proud. And as part of that, uh, enable them to discover what they naturally are energized by, which is their natural strengths. So they're the psychometric I use called Strengthscope. And cleverer people than I have identified 24 strengths. And so you can't be energized by all 24. You've got your significant 7 and your top 3. So when you are looking for individuals, ask the questions that helps you to discover what are they energized by, what do they naturally love doing, where are they at their best, and you want to just harness that, and actually then that talent will grow exponentially.
I love that answer. And I'm a big proponent of strengths development. In fact, that leads very naturally into our next question. Question number 4, talk to us a little bit about how you identify and then develop strengths within your company.
So exactly that. It is this psychometric strength scope. So when I work with clients, it's the vast majority of the time I ask them, what naturally energizes you, or actually in the week ahead that you've got coming up, what are you looking forward to the most? And an awful lot of the time, my clients were going, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. It's not springing to mind. So that's a massive opportunity to support my clients and going, actually, well, we need to discover that. We need to get you to understand, actually, are you energized by strategy, detail, compassion, emotional control, decisiveness? What is it that energizes you the most? And that's how I do it with all of the clients that I work with, with individuals, with teams, and then actually organizationally. You can go into organizations and go, how aware are you of the strengths of your organization? What is it that you will be, head towards? And that's also really good to then think about actually how much diversity have you got around your strengths, because then we could go into sort of leadership teams and they've got groupthink because they've all got the same strengths. And if they haven't got a diversity of strengths, then they could be in trouble, essentially.
Right. I like that comment a lot because there is some power and strength in having diversity of thought and being able to say, okay, I approach this challenge this way. This other person approaches it this way, and there may be an even better solution somewhere in the middle. Whereas if we're all thinking one way, our solutions might be limited in what we can do. And I love that.
Absolutely.
That approach.
And so one of the ways that helps as well is about one of the many things that's at the heart of resilience is our attitude. So it's actually, you need to have an attitude that is open and curious. So
Well,
you absolutely have to be able to ask the question to start with, what do you think and feel about this situation? And then for goodness sake, listen to the answer. Absolutely listen to it. Even if initially you're listening to it and going, oh God, I don't like the sound of this, or it doesn't make any sense to me. I have no idea. It's like, actually, this is the moment when I need to listen more in this moment. So being open and curious is how you are going to enable yourself to do a lot of these things as
I
well.
love that. I love the word curiosity. It's a word
Yeah.
that seems to get lost as we get older. But being able to recapture curiosity, even as an adult, even in a work environment, whatever situation, that is such an important attitude and skill to develop because that's where the problem solving comes from. That's where all the creativity comes from. It comes from being curious. So, love
It
that.
certainly does. And the person that has quite often the person that has the most out there response or idea that everybody looks at each other and goes, I didn't get that. their brains in a different space. It's like, that's when you need to go, right, we have to come across to this other person and go, tell us more. What on earth do you mean? I don't get it. But that's where you need to spend a bit more time in those instances.
Yeah, absolutely agree. I love that. I love that. All right, our last question, Russell, tell us a little bit about your first job.
Well, yes, I was thinking about this. So my very, very first job, I think it was at primary school. And so that might be kindergarten in terms of language across the pond, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
So there was a caretaker, janitor. Hopefully this is, the language translation is working.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It was just I think a couple of us had the job of putting the school bins out essentially, and got a bit of money for that. So that was my absolute first job. I think I was only about 8 or 9. However, after that, it's paper rounds and babysitting, childcare, just with the neighbours. But the sort of probably the first proper job was working in a DIY store. Actually, so yeah, that was the first proper job, and it was hard work. Excuse me, because it was like pallets and pallets of tiles, kitchen tiles, moving those around, and actually like 12-foot worktops, kitchen worktops, moving those around, literally one at a time, hand by hand.
Wow.
Yeah, so those are some of my first jobs.
Wow. That's an interesting first job because obviously you started even before then with some other kinds of well, you might call them traditionals to some degree, babysitting and doing odd jobs for the janitor or caretaker. But that's great. Thank you for sharing that. Well, Russell, again, thank you so much for taking time to be on the podcast today. How can people get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So the easiest is that, those that are watching, the email is there right behind me. So russell@theresiliencecoach.co.uk, send an email. And on the website as well. So all the w's.theresiliencecoach.co.uk. There's a opportunity to go contact Russell. It pops up on the website, and there's episodes of podcasts that are on there as well. So
Perfect.
have a look at those.
Very good. Love it. Thank you. And thanks
Thank you
to
so
everybody for joining us every week. We appreciate your participation and look forward to being with you again next week. Thanks so much for joining us and have a great day.
This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching. Is your business thriving? Go to tbs-score.com to find out. Thanks for joining us today. Have a great day.